On this episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast, we talk about listeners being empty, being filled. Mm-hmm. Yay! Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
Okay. Wow. Really bringing in some energy of some kind.
Bringing in the drama.
Are you promoting like the next episode of NCIS or something?
Tonight on NCIS.
Yeah, we're two professional broadcasters, and we like metal and other music too.
Sure, plenty of other music.
And we like talking about it, and today's one of those days. September is one of our non-metal months, and so we're going to talk about an album that's not metal. It was my turn this week, so we're talking about an album from 2016 by a band called Listener.
Right, it's definitely a rock album.
Yes, a rock album, a punk album maybe in certain parts. They're tiny little bits of metal here and there, but certainly not metal enough, I'd say, to categorize it as a metal album. But yeah, it's an interesting album, a very fascinating and kind of unique band that I got into a while ago. So happy to be talking about it. Before we get to that, though, how you doing?
I'm doing, man, I've got some phlegm going on. I'm doing good. Life is good.
It's almost like I mentioned Architects to you a couple minutes ago.
Every time you mention Architects, I have apoplexy of some sort set in, and yeah. I like Architects.
Yeah, you just seem to be allergic to them.
I guess.
It's like the poor people that are allergic to cats but love cats.
Sure, like my dad.
Your dad loved cats.
Oh, yeah, he has cats.
Your dad loved cats.
My dad loved cats. Yes.
But he allergic to cats.
So he must drink lots of vodka when he pets cat.
I don't think that helps with the allergies. I don't know if that suppresses those receptors.
It suppresses awareness of allergies.
So you could be dying of anaphylaxis, but you wouldn't know.
No, if you're hammered enough, who cares?
You're going to die anyway. Yeah, it's been things actually happened to me.
Yeah,
this week I went on a trip. Went to Fargo with my parents.
Went to a wedding.
Went to a wedding, yes, of a friend of the whole family. And a good friend of mine in high school, and he was getting married, so we all went out to Fargo. The trip there was very wet. We ran into no less than 2 thunderstorms in 300. It's not 300 miles, 150 mile trip,
right.
And it was that was interesting.
Sure,
nothing too bad happened there, but that was Friday was just a fucking nightmare of weather.
Right. It was fine here. It was rainy, but
yeah, it rained a little bit, but 10 miles to the west, oh shit.
Yeah, it was
like Des Lacs, Burlington, and
sure.
There's sort of a
volleyball size hail.
Yeah, not quite, but yeah, they had. Some areas got softball, and it went up to like 2-inch in certain parts. And up at the Air Force Base, which is directly north of town, because the storm kind of came in a little skewed like that, roads were just covered in hail.
Wow.
So, yeah, Friday, not the greatest day on earth for weather. And it was stressful for me because this was all happening while I was doing my shift. Sure. And I wanted to leave early.
Yeah, and you had that look on your face, too, like that, like the kid who got set in the corner.
Yeah.
You had that look.
Well, because I had, asked earlier that day, I was like, hey, is it possible for me to leave early? And everyone was like, yeah, that should be fine. So, and then later it was like, no, you gotta stay here and report on the severe weather, which once I was like, okay, I gotta do this. I felt all right, but it was kind of like you get this really tasty piece of candy got dangled in front of your face, and just as you're about to grab it, it got ripped away.
They slammed that van door shut.
Yeah. They slam that van door shut.
Yeah, terrible.
They tape your mouth shut and start driving off.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like got ripped away from me, and I was not happy with that for a little while, but I did manage to still get out a little bit early and take off. I stayed in the biggest hotel room I've ever stayed in my entire life. We stayed at a Comfort Inn and Suites, and we got a suite, and it was massive. It was like the size of my apartment, it felt like.
Without all the walls.
Yeah, without all the walls, there is a couch and then 2 king-size beds and then a whole bunch of space to the next, opposing wall where there was a TV and then some closets and the bathroom and stuff. But it felt like it was the size of my apartment.
Sure.
It was nuts. There were 2 sinks in the bathroom.
Wow.
It was
2 toilets?
No,
just the one
just
toilet?
the one toilet. But the tub shower area had, regular sort of tub shower combo thing. But then behind it, there was this like cubby sort of type thing. I don't know what to call it. Like in the shower unit.
Sure.
Where there was it was raised up a little bit to the height of the tub wall. And it was a granite top on this little square, and then this little space and a towel rack behind it. So I think the idea is it's this enclosed space where you can hang a towel rack that's in the shower unit with you, but it's not going to get wet. And you can put your soaps there or something.
Neat.
Or you could go and stand there and dry off. Or I don't know what the purpose of it was.
Was
but
it
I've never
beyond
seen
range
it
of the
before.
shower?
Yeah, it was beyond the range of the shower head.
Wow.
The water wouldn't get at it, but it was still within the general space of where the shower curtain was. But there was a wall, and then it went back a little ways, and there's a curtain. It was like a little open closet in the shower.
Maybe it was a queuing area. It's just the next guy
stand
can
there and
there.
wait naked, just all right, when you gonna get done? That would be a little weird.
It would be a little weird.
But yeah, it was a huge, luxurious hotel room.
Was it comfortable?
Yeah. Well, I didn't get to sleep I slept on the pull-out couch, which
Sure.
was it was okay.
That's what they call the couch in my mom and dad's basement. Hey-o!
Hey.
Yeah, never mind.
But yeah, I don't know. It was just weird. The wedding was very nice. It was a Catholic wedding, so I was expecting it to take forever. But it didn't. It was a pretty concise service. I think the service was an hour or something like that. Maybe a little bit less than an hour. And then in a really interesting church too. It was such a strange looking church. I'd never been in one like that before. It seems like every Catholic church I go in looks weird.
Really?
I don't know why exactly that is. Maybe it's because
You were raised Lutheran, or?
Yeah. And I feel like the part of the reason might be that we're in an extremely Protestant part of the country.
Okay.
I mean, most of the U.S. is fairly Protestant if you think about it historically. Catholicism didn't become super popular in the U.S. until you had large waves of immigrants from
Ireland and
Ireland and Spain and places like that. More traditionally Catholic countries and immigrants coming in, but here we had mostly immigrants from Germany and Scandinavia, which are extremely Protestant,
Sure,
or at least were extremely Protestant at the time of immigration. And so there are a lot of the Catholic churches in this area I think are newer, which is why they tend to look a bit less traditional. It's always interesting to me when I see, because this had this massive vaulted ceiling and the tile floor, or polished brick floor or something like this. I don't know quite how to describe it. And it was all red polished tiles, and this huge vaulted ceiling that was held up by these massive steel I-beams that were going in at weird angles.
Sure,
it was bizarre.
You ever been in St. Leo's?
No.
Yeah,
no, I have not.
It's very interesting. Go in there sometime.
Okay. Which church is that?
That's the one behind M&H. You know what I'm talking about?
I'm not sure
what
I
M&H
do.
is?
I'm not sure I do.
It's on Burdick.
Is it the huge brick church?
Yeah. The huge brick it's downtown.
Okay, yeah, I know what that one is.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's a beautiful building.
Yeah.
I'd love to go inside it at some point. There's some innuendo in there.
No.
No, there's no innuendo.
Okay. I was going to leave that alone. But I had a few pop up, and I'm like, no, go to bed.
Look, I couldn't resist it.
Yeah,
I couldn't resist it. But wedding reception was outside at the Red River Zoo. There was one little storm blip that came up and passed over us, and it rained kind of heavily for about 10 minutes, and then nothing else happened. Did a bit of drinking. Did a bit of catching up with some friends from Washburn, and had a good time. Had some really good food, catering by Ruby Tuesdays.
Sure.
Never seen Ruby Tuesdays do catering before, but
Love
this
me
was
some
like,
Ruby Tuesdays.
It was good stuff. They had those brown croutons.
Oh, yeah. Those are amazing. The dark brown crouton. They're chewy and crunchy and salty and sweet at the same time.
If you, the listener, have never been to Ruby Tuesdays and by the way, not sponsored by Ruby Tuesdays.
We are not.
If you've never been there, go to their salad bar. Get whatever salad you want, but then load up on those brown croutons. Like you might be thinking, brown croutons? Why would I want?
It's rye, essentially, isn't it?
It's like rye or pumpernickel or something like that. They're so good.
They are,
and they had those there, so I loaded on up. It was just a good time. I was kind of hoping I would get a chance to visit Orange Records because I didn't get to go there last time I was in Fargo, but didn't happen. That's all right though. I would have just spent a bunch more. I got new shoes.
Did you? Oh, yeah, you did. Yeah.
I bought myself some new shoes. They're Brooks, designed to. Well, I don't know if they're specifically designed, but they have helped. And then the guy who, the shoe wizard.
Okay.
That's the people who work at the shoe department at Shields. They're shoe wizards.
Sure. At Shields.
Yeah, we bought them at Shields. Global headquarters for Shields, Fargo, North Dakota. But anyway,
my grandmother was in a sort of both my grandparents were in sort of a home, an assisted living facility.
Okay.
With the Shield family, with old
really.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, because they initially they were farmers, and then the next thing you know,
let's open up a sporting goods store or something or whatever it was originally that eventually became a sporting goods store, and now it's all over the upper Midwest.
Sure, they're dead now.
Well, probably.
Yeah,
I don't know.
They were older than my grandparents.
I don't know about all of them. There's probably a few Shields left.
Those particular Shields.
Yeah, those ones are probably
the heirs
gone.
of Shields are probably around.
Yeah, but these shoes are because I have a really wide stance for my feet. They tend to go outwards.
Right. They're kind of pigeon-toed.
Yeah, I have a very open and inviting stance that basically says, "Hey, you could knock me over real easy." So
he virtually begs everyone to kick him in the nads.
Yeah, essentially. So these have been helping. I've noticed when I right when I put them on and started walking, I was like, "Oh yeah, this does kind of help me." Point my feet a little, more inward, so they're kind of more straight.
Nice.
So they're very comfortable shoes. I really like them. Not sponsored by Brooks or Shields.
Or Ruby Tuesdays.
Or Ruby Tuesdays. Speaking of...
Not yet.
Not yet. Maybe someday. Speaking of things we're not sponsored by, the beer we have today, I haven't tasted it yet.
I usually don't like pumpkin.
So
stuff.
Yeah, we spoiled it.
I did.
We are now basic white women. Because it's the first podcast of the fall, so you got pumpkin spice beer.
I did from Voodoo Ranger from New Belgium.
Yeah.
The Fat Tire people.
Yeah. So we're on a New Belgium, or you're on a New Belgium kick apparently, because that was what you brought last time too.
They seem to have a lot of varieties.
They do. There's a lot of. So I'm going to. Give this a shot. I have
really good.
I got us Fargo Brewing Company. You called them snifters. Is that the official?
Is it a snifter? I don't know.
I don't know if it's called a snip, but they sold these at Fargo Brewing Company. So I'm gonna give this a shot. It definitely smells like pumpkin spice. I don't know. I can definitely keep drinking it.
If I have to.
I mean, the aftertaste. I don't dislike it, and I haven't tried a lot of pumpkin spice stuff because it's maybe it's the contrarian in me that's like, fuck this pumpkin spice bullshit. I don't care. It's not bad.
Yeah, sure.
I don't hate it. It's just like it's become such a cultural meme.
Right. It's ridiculous
that I kind of despise it on those grounds. But
I like being ridiculous. So.
Yeah. It's not bad. I just it wouldn't have been my first choice, but it's not bad. I'll definitely keep on drinking.
I feel like I have a candle at home that smells like this.
You probably do. I feel like my mom has 5 candles that smell like this.
Yeah. It's like drinking a candle.
That's kind of what it is. Yeah.
And it's got, if you inhale there, it's kind of there's a bit of a spiciness to it. It's peppery. I'm getting the aftertaste is all spice. Yeah.
Kind of going back and it's all spice. Not all spice.
Pumpkin
but
spice.
It is all spice.
Yeah.
Pumpkin spice.
Not to be confused with all spice.
Yes. So what'd you do with your weekend and the first part of your week?
Not a whole lot. I've been very lazy lately. I don't know. I don't know if I told you last week that I'm now at the fattest I've ever been. I'm now the heaviest.
Yes, you did tell me that.
Yeah, and it continues. And you've been mothering me a little bit at work. I say I'm hungry. You say just fight it, man. Fight it.
Just fight it, or like find something else to do other than eat. Mm-hmm. Listen to the fat guy, okay? I'm not that fat.
No, you're not that.
But I think that. Well, I don't know how much weight Jeff has lost, but I think other than maybe our boss, I'm probably the heaviest guy
possibly
at the company at the moment.
I think
I'm also one of the tallest. Sure. I think Rick might be taller than me. But
is Rick taller than you?
I don't know. In any case, I'm the biggest guy in general. I think other than our boss. But yeah, like I see the thing with me is like I'm a little bit bigger, but generally I'm not hungry a lot. I get hungry simply because I don't eat breakfast, and I kind of eat like a campground raccoon as far as like quality of the things that I eat. But I try not to eat a lot and don't eat constantly.
See, and one of my problems is one of the new medications I'm on so that I don't commit mass murder is it's something that makes me sleepy and hungry and says, okay, calm down, just have a snack and take a nap. That's what the medicine tells me.
And those are both things that any reasonable person loves to do.
Sure.
Any reasonable person loves to eat and take naps and sleep. So I can't fault you. It's just, you know, try and find something else to do.
I guess I'm a new, but I just so voracious all the time. Yeah. Like this morning, I need to have just something. So of course I went and once again had a chicken fried steak smothered in gravy, eggs, hash browns, toast, and a few cups of coffee. And
that's the problem too. Is like I need to eat something. So then you eat a whole meal.
Yeah.
Like don't do that.
Then I came back and I did some work and went, oh shit, it's lunchtime. So I went to Sonic. We're also not sponsored by Sonic.
Yeah. We both just eat like campground raccoons.
Yes, we're both Uncle Barbecue.
Yeah. But speaking of Uncle, you currently look like Uncle Bill, and it's awesome. Thanks. And by Uncle Bill, I mean Uncle Bill Kelleher. You've got the full Kelleher going on, and I'm being 100% honest. You're working it.
All right, sweet, thanks.
I think it works very well.
I've had some negative response. I've had some positive response.
The ladies have been saying you look like a porn star. But
yeah, which I don't know. Are they
take that as a compliment?
Yeah, they saying,
which porn star? That's the question. Is it Ron Jeremy? What era Ron Jeremy?
No, it's not Ron Jeremy. It's not.
You would need to lose the horseshoe parts to be. I mean,
and gain about 100 pounds.
Yeah. Hey, like, have you ever seen Ron Jeremy when he was like 22?
I suppose, yeah. He was a little more svelte.
Yeah, he was, you know, sort of a fit, kind of handsome dude, and then he kind of found his niche of like, oh, there's a market for sort of kind of heavier, more relatable porn stars.
He became the hedgehog.
He became the hedgehog.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't think it hurt Ron Jeremy's career that he had a massive schlong.
Sure. Although it was John Holmes, if you recall him as an adult actor, he used to actually call Ron Jeremy Shorty. That was his nickname.
Well, he's a short guy.
No, that's not why.
Oh, okay.
Because John Holmes sort of dwarfed him.
Okay.
In that respect.
Ron Jeremy is about the limit of my knowledge of old school porn stars. So
I just like cinema.
Well, that was I remember reading about John Waters,
right?
And like with a lot of his movies, there was especially like Pink Flamingo talking about how like it was in that period that they called porno chic, where it was the summer that Deep Throat came out,
right?
And that was a porn film that got a theatrical release in general theaters.
It did.
And that was like a thing for a year where porn was in theaters, and people had no idea what to do with it.
Right, and there's a story from why am I forgetting his name? He had the Tonight Show before Johnny Carson.
Before Johnny Carson.
Steve Allen? No. Anyway,
Tim Allen.
He was going in to go see the movie, but since he was a little, kind of famous, he was going to go in through the back door of the theater. He had a trench coat on and a hat, and he was in hiding. And then the previous showing let out, and out comes Mel Blanc of Warner Brother cartoon fame, and he turned and he saw him and said, "Hey, Steve, you're going to love it."
That's a fantastic story. Yeah, I mean, like I can't imagine that. Yeah. Especially for like a culture that didn't have the internet.
Well, yeah.
Is it like today? It's like porn is so ridiculously accessible,
right?
Where if it happened, but I also think the opinions dissenting it are as visible, and you've also got the MPAA to consider. But like if that happened, I think nowadays there'd be a much higher percentage of the population that'd be like, oh, interesting.
Sure.
It's because like in the 70s, it seems like they were movies.
Right, they were. It was cinematic. I mean, because it had to be, because the only way you could see it was in a theater. There was. I mean, the stag reel was a thing as well, where you have to get a project instead of in the living room with the reels on, and you invite friends over, which is to me also weird.
Yeah, so strange.
Yeah, which I actually remember doing in my teens. Hey, we're gonna watch this porn, and then everybody together, and everybody's real quiet. And and they're like,
because everyone realized how fucking awkward that would be. But it's like nowadays that doesn't happen.
No, now you have to actually be careful not to watch porn. Yeah, if you're looking for something on the internet,
it's like that's always the second thing that comes up, or the first thing that comes up.
Looking for something for skincare. So what if there's a nice facial thing I can find here? No!
I'd really like a nice treat. I wonder if Walmart sells cream pies.
Oh no!
Anyway, that's enough about porn, I guess.
Oh man, it looks like there's gangsters in our area. Look at gangbang on the internet. Yeah. It's
an interesting time we live in.
It is a very interesting time.
I would have loved to have been around just to see that the porno chic thing happen firsthand.
I'm still a little young for that to have been a part of that.
But like that would have been just sort of like,
sure.
You mean there's porn, but it's at the. It wouldn't have been the AMC at the time. Maybe it was I don't know how long.
AMC. No,
I don't know
how
long.
Independent theaters that were running them.
I guess, but
yeah. I mean,
it's at the Alamo Draft House.
Sure.
You can get a steak while you watch Deep Throat. That'd be great.
Yeah, I thought this was a big piece of
You're
beef.
satisfying the two halves of Maslow's first level or whatever.
Sex and food.
Yep, you're satisfying both of them at the same time. Just get it out of the way.
Hopefully not completely satisfying both of those at the same time.
No, exact same time.
Oh, God.
The steak has to come pre-cut because you can't. The other hand is busy.
Poor choice of words.
Oh, how I do delight in being evil.
Yeah, all right.
Okay.
Hey, Hustfest is this week.
Yeah.
Changing the subject.
Drastically changing the subject. Yeah, Norse Coast Fest is coming up this week.
It's today. It starts today.
Oh, yeah, I suppose. It is, if you don't know, if you're not from North Dakota, because you're probably not, statistically speaking.
North America's largest Scandinavian festival.
Because there are so many more of those.
Yeah.
But it's a big thing that comes up, and people come from around
the world
to go to this thing, and it boggles the mind that actually happens. But I had never gone before last year, and then I went last year, and I was like, wow, I like all these little shops and all
it's great,
like all of the all of the goods that are being sold, because I'm very interested in Norse stuff and Nordic memorabilia and stuff like that. And it's like, wow, this is actually my thing. Okay.
It's actually cool.
This is pretty cool.
And we get some weird entertainment, but I mean...
Yeah, it's usually kind of like older country
Right.
with some polka stuff. And
And this year we have Gabriel Iglesias coming on Friday. Fluffy going to take the stage.
There's also Imo, which is someone I've heard of before. He's a Finnish comedian who I've seen clips of him on Reddit. He seems like a very funny guy. But he's from Finland, so he has sort of a very kind of stilted and sort of awkward manner of speaking, but he's very funny. I think that's part of the charm, is the Finnish accent. But yeah, that's coming up. My old roommate, one of my best friends, Leaf, he's going to be in town staying at my place. He's doing the auction. He's one of the official auctioneers for the North Coast Fest.
Nice.
So, I'll be happy to have him around
and the food is awesome.
and hang out. Yeah, lots of good food there too.
Yeah.
The North Coast Fest is just this sort of strange little thing that we have going on. That's actually we're a festival people.
We're a festival people.
Like
my daughter sings at it. I don't know if you knew that or not.
I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
she sings every day at the Ooze Fest.
I did not know
with
that.
the Western Plains Choir.
I suppose. What is it about why do we here in Minot specifically? Why do we seem to take our like fairs and festivals so seriously?
We just do.
We
we're
do
good.
them
We have the space for it.
We have a huge event center and
fairgrounds and
we do it very well. We certainly whole ass all of our festivals that we do.
Don't half-ass two things when you can whole ass one thing.
Precisely. Speaking of whole assing, listener.
Yes.
I think a whole ass album is the one that we listened to called Being Empty, Being Filled. It is their, let me take a look. It's because the history of the band is kind of interesting.
Really? It's a lot of Dan. I mean.
Yeah. It's like the first, let's see, how many albums are here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is album number 8. So Listener was originally Dan's stage name.
Right.
Dan started
Smith.
Listener. Dan Smith started Listener as an underground hip hop act in the early 2000s, and eventually, after a couple of releases, he started to add more elements to it. He did his second release was called Ozark Empire, and he did what he called a tour of homes, where he just played house shows all over the country.
I saw some videos of that, like an old woman sitting in a rocking chair, and
there's Dan,
with
his huge mustache
and an acoustic guitar,
which I think is awesome. Yeah. That seems like such an interesting thing. We didn't mention where they're from. They're from Fayetteville, Arkansas. And if you listen to Dan speak or sing or whatever vocals he's doing, it's like, this sounds very Arkansas. He's Dan Smith is such a interesting vocalist, but we'll talk more about, I guess, his vocal style in a little bit. But this is album number 8. Towards the end of the 2000s, he started adding more band members until about 2009, when it really became more of a full-fledged rock band, although the next 3 releases there, we had Return to Struggleville, Wooden Heart, and Time is a Machine. Those albums, like, they have the rock instrumentals. You've got drums, you've got bass, you've got guitar, but it is still stripped down and sort of very, generally speaking, a bit less intense, more post-rock, where the focus was very much on Dan's vocals and lyrics.
Right. There's a lot of lyrics.
Yeah, there is a lot of lyrics. So this is their genre is what Dan likes to call talk music. What it is basically spoken word rock, in a sense, where especially their earlier stuff was much more just Dan speaking, but his method of speaking is extremely intense.
Right. This is not hip hop. This
is not. It's not hip hop. It's not R&B. Dan is. He sounds at first listen like a madman.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're listening to the ramblings of a very philosophical, crazy person. But when you start paying attention, you hear just like these little nuggets of like, wow, that's really profound. But then it's kind of followed up by like, it's extremely stream of consciousness, where there are these islands of, oh, I get it now. Okay, that's what he's talking about. But it's, sort of strung together by whatever words kind of come racing out of him. Is sort of the way it feels. It's such a desperate mountain of lyrics that kind of comes funneling out of him, and his voice cracks and he seems like he's running out of breath and all of that. And that's, you could redo those takes and be, I was running out of breath on that one. Let me redo that take.
But no,
that's not Dan's style. That's not what Listener is about. Listeners, it's all about the emotion that he's trying to deliver.
And that's in there when he does that.
Oh yeah. So the other members of the band currently, we have Chris Rochelle, Tim Stickrod, which is a fun name.
Stickrod.
And John Terry. Dan plays bass. He also plays the mellophone, the cornet, the horns that you hear. That is also Dan. Chris Rochelle is on the drums. John Terry is on guitar. I think there was some point where someone switched positions where they were playing the drums and they're now playing. I think that was Chris. I don't know if that got updated, because there was at some point where Chris was playing the drums, but then now I believe he is playing guitar. They kind of just switch off whatever they feel like doing. There's music videos that you can see where Dan is playing the guitar, one of their electric guitars. So they kind of switch it up every once in a while. This album, like I said, the band is more of the focus. It feels more like a
musical project.
Yeah, it feels more like a full band album rather than another sort of Dan Smith project. It's everyone kind of putting their say in. That's not to say that Dan's not there at all. He's still very present.
He's very, very present.
Very. How did you feel about his vocals? Because I know that I know they can be a bit polarizing.
I have to admit it kind of wasn't my thing.
Okay.
It was a bit intense poetry slam kind of.
Absolutely.
And it was a lot to chew. I mean, it was, and I'd have to give it a listen again.
Yeah.
To get some of the profound things that obviously you found in this, but I haven't had the time to do that.
Yeah.
And plus, you have the background having listened to other albums.
Yeah.
This is the first one for me.
Yeah, I did kind of throw you into the lion's den with this one a little bit, because there's like I said, a mountain of lyrics on this album and on all of their albums. If you're looking for something a little bit more relaxed, I would recommend the song "Wooden Heart" off of the same album.
Sure, that
one I feel like kind of can get you into a little bit of the mood of Listener a little bit better. It's a bit more relaxed. And
that was the one that they were actually delivering at the old woman in her living room.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's like, that one is much less intense than any of the songs on this record. This is actually a concept album, interestingly enough.
Really?
It is about, every song is loosely based on the life of an inventor.
Sure.
Doesn't necessarily matter what they invented, but so the first song, Pent Up Jeans, is about Levi Strauss and his work ethic, and later in his life giving back. He and his wife never had any children, and so they started donating. They started donating.
Yeah.
They started donating to a lot of charities and eventually opened up orphanages and stuff like that.
Well, sure. I mean, they were good people. They had good genes.
Yeah, they had good genes. And yeah, just sort of about his work ethic and keeping moving, and having come from not a particularly privileged background, and being Jewish and moving to the U.S. At a time where no one in the world was particularly friendly to Jews in the in the 1800s. So it's sort of about that. The song, my one of my favorite songs on the album, and it was the first single they released on this album a few years ago before it came out, was the song "There's Money in the Walls." That song is about Rudolph.
The banana stand.
Yeah, there's always money in the banana. No, that song is about Rudolph Diesel.
Oh, okay.
The inventor of the diesel engine.
I didn't catch any of this. That's like I said, I'm gonna have to give it another listen.
Yeah. Well, and Dan is not particularly easy to understand.
Right.
He has a pretty thick Arkansas accent, and he's
pretty intense.
And he's giving a very intense and sort of painful delivery. But yeah, it's about Rudolph Diesel. And that is one of the more clear stories on that, and one of the most the one where I think they accomplish what they're going for the best. So the story of Rudolf Diesel is he was born in France, but his parents were from Bavaria. Eventually went back to Germany, and they it was sort of a very metropolitan sort of German upbringing, but he was kind of all over Europe as a young man, and eventually went to college for engineering and was reading about thermodynamics and stuff like that, and he wanted to invent a fuel efficient combustion engine, and eventually he invented the diesel engine.
Sure,
is the short of the story. But then in 1913, he was going on a trip to a manufacturer's conference, essentially. He was on a trip to London from, I'm not sure where, it was in Germany. He was aboard a ship called the SS Dresden. Very German ship name.
Yeah.
And while he was on board, he ate dinner, and then went to bed and requested a wake-up call early the next morning. Wake-up call comes and goes. No answer. The ship's crew eventually go to his room to wake him up. Room is empty. Bed looks like it wasn't slept in. His nightshirt is folded nice and neat on the on the end of the bed. His watch is sitting there in view of the bed, ticking. But there was no sign that he had slept in the room. They went looking for him, and then on the afterdeck, right underneath the railing, they found his hat and his coat, neatly folded. And then a couple of weeks later, they found a body that his son later identified to be him, floating off the coast of Norway.
Wow.
And it's not entirely certain what happened. The most likely answer is that he committed suicide.
Yeah, that seems like a suicide.
That is the most likely answer. But it is also possible he was on a ship leaving Germany in 1913, going to London, and he had also previously refused to give the German government exclusive rights to use the diesel engine.
So it might have been
And he was one of the things he was going to discuss was the British using the diesel engine in submarines. Tensions were high in Europe. Of course, the war hadn't started, and there was much reason at the time. World War I is a very complicated conflict because a lot of people didn't actually want to fight each other. Like the British and the Germans were pretty friendly. They just happened to be on the opposite side of the wrong system of alliances. But it's possible that he was assassinated, and it was simply made to look like a suicide. And by the time they found his body, it had been floating in the ocean for so long, it had been picked at by fish. It was impossible to determine the cause of death.
Sure. And it was 1913.
Yeah, it was 1913.
Forensics wasn't a big science.
Yeah, it was not exactly, NCIS. Let's get back to NCIS.
NCIS London. Norway.
Which would be weird, but I mean, I don't know about London, but I'm sure there's a U.S. naval base somewhere in that area.
Sure.
Somewhere in the British Isles. There's bound to be an NCIS office on that naval base. At any rate, so, sort of this mystery, but the idea of the song and the last sung component of it is the words, "When we don't go on, our song lives on." This idea that, he might have died in 1913, but think about what his invention has done. Think about how ridiculously ubiquitous the diesel engine is in the modern world, and the things that have been accomplished using it. How many roads have been built using trucks that run on diesel engines.
Right, and just how many billions of gallons of fuel with his name on it exist.
Yeah. And sort of this very long-lasting legacy that he never got to see.
Sure.
And so
that's where they actually start singing. I mean, it's
and I wish there was more of that.
Yeah.
I wish there was more chances for the rest of the band. I wish there was some more backing vocals. I feel like that is a component that was really missing. Because there are parts where Dan kind of tries to sing.
He's not really a singer.
Yeah, he's not really a singer. And it sounds good enough, but I feel like it really would have been bolstered by some backing vocals from the rest of the band.
Sure.
I feel like the album really would have benefited from that and sounded a bit more full. Some of the other inventors, the other obvious one is the song Manhattan Project's about Robert Oppenheimer. They also cover Nikola Tesla and just a whole, like, you're looking at me confused.
Yeah. What's a love letter to Detroit about? I mean,
Love Letter to Detroit.
That's one of my favorite tracks.
That one, that one is about the inventor, not the inventor, but what was his name? Was it David Ettinger? He was a soldier who later became an author. He was came up with the idea of cryonics.
Oh, okay.
And I think he was from Detroit. But that was about his life essentially. And I think an interesting thing, and we were talking about Panopticon and talking about bluegrass earlier today,
right? And
about how it seems to connect to this spirit of poverty. I want to say, like that's part of the charm of bluegrass.
Right. Bluegrass isn't the high-tech music. It's not something for people with expensive gadgets. It's
and such a big part of American folk, and to me, some of this album and part of Listener's sound kind of scratches that same itch. It seems to connect to that same part of my brain, because you think, they're from small towns in Arkansas, and I believe Arkansas is one of the poorer states in the country.
One of them, yeah.
It's not exactly
not Alabama.
Yeah. But it's it's not the richest place in the world,
right,
in Arkansas and in the Ozarks. So there's a part of it that seems to speak to me for some reason, and that's just been Listener in my experience. There's something about Listener that really speaks to me and always has. I don't know.
I love the Ozarks.
I've
been there a couple of times.
You've been to the Ozarks?
Oh yeah. Well, I told you I went to Branson, Missouri.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
But you didn't see the Shoji Tabuchi show.
No, I did.
You did see the Shoji Tabuchi.
Oh yeah, I saw Shoji Tabuchi.
Okay.
Of course. Yeah, I saw him. I saw Mel Torme. Okay. Not Mel Torme. Meltillis. Mel Torme. I saw Meltillis. I saw the Branson Brothers show.
Okay.
We went to the Burning Hills.
If you don't know,
Shepherd of the Hills, not the Burning Hills. The Shepherd of the Hills.
If you don't know, Branson, Missouri is a town in Missouri that, for some reason, has been turned into this little entertainment place where people have shows permanently in their own theaters.
I went to go see Ray Stevens.
Ray Stevens.
Do you know who Ray Stevens is?
Not really.
They call him the Streak.
Nope.
Yeah, boogity.
Nope.
I'll have to play you some Ray Stevens. You'll go, oh, that's hokey.
Okay.
And it's corny.
Yeah.
It's me again, Margaret.
Okay.
Yeah.
The reason I went to Shoji Tabuchi immediately is because on Red Letter Media, on one of their Best of the Worst episodes, they had a taping of the Shoji Tabuchi show, and they had no idea what it was.
Yeah.
They're like, what is this? Because you see this, older Japanese guy with these two, blonde, pretty white ladies, which is his wife and then his stepdaughter. But Shoji Tabuchi is just this pretty talented,
very talented
Japanese violinist who
fiddle player. Let's call it what it is. He's a fiddle player.
He's a fiddle player. He would probably say that I think that was part of the tape. Was he was like, this is a violin, but I play fiddle.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to lean too far into the Japanese accent. But he moved to the U.S. He has a great love of country music and, played country music and eventually was in Branson, Missouri and was like, I'm going to make a show. And he did. And I'm pretty sure still going.
I remember Johnny Cash was trying to build a theater there. And then the joke was he had to change his name to Outa. Yeah.
Johnny Outa?
Outa Cash.
Oh, okay. It's good.
Yeah. Because, he ran out of money. Never got it open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And my grandpa told me, but he said, by the way, and he always talked like this because he's from Oklahoma.
Okay.
And he said, when we go through the Ozarks, you got to be careful how you order your favorite beverage, which is Mountain Dew. It means something different in the mountains.
If they're going to give you moonshine. I suppose so, yeah. No, they'll get you some moonshine.
I'm like, Grandpa, I'm 10.
I don't think they're going to get me moonshine.
I don't think they're going to be confused as what I'm trying to get here.
Unless we're in a really hick place.
Get that boy moonshine. My God, he's middle-aged. He should have 5 kids by now.
I was reading about the history of moonshine earlier this week. I'm not sure why. I didn't realize, technically speaking, because I didn't quite understand what kind of liquor what we would think of when we think of moonshine. Is technically just clear whiskey.
Sure.
And I also had forgotten that most whiskey does not have a color before you put it in the barrel.
Right.
Most whiskey that is not...
It's leached from the wood.
Yeah. The unaged whiskey is clear, which is what moonshine is. It is unaged whiskey, essentially. Right. Also at extremely high proof. Yeah. And I think that's part of what aging does, too. I think it brings down the proof a little bit or something.
It mellows it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's what... I was also the same kick reading about the history of whiskey. And when people first started making whiskey and distilled liquors, they were really strong and just brutal.
Sure,
brutal to drink, which did not stop. I believe James the Fourth, James the Fourth of Scotland, the successor to Elizabeth.
Yes,
her third cousin or whatever, Mary Queen of Scots' son. He really loved him some Scotch whiskey.
Sure.
Because he was the party king. There's an educational music video out there somewhere that I remember watching.
About the party king.
That described him as the party king. I think that was the same one. At any rate, whiskey, good. Moonshine, good.
White lightning.
I should try some, because you can buy the, clear whiskey. It's marketed like it's moonshine, but you can get it in, packaged mason jars and stuff.
And they have something in this neck of the woods that they don't have a lot of other places, actually. I'm sure you're well aware of this word, Everclear.
Everclear.
Yeah.
Oh, God. And then they make it into that accursed cocktail known as Red Eye.
Yeah, Red Eye.
Fucking Red Eye.
I remember the first time I came into contact with Red Eye, somebody coming out and saying, "Don't eat the fruit. Don't eat the fucking fruit, man."
It doesn't matter if you eat the fruit, so the point with Red Eye, right? Everclear is what? What ABV is Red Eye?
Alcohol by volume. I think there's there's accidentally a not alcohol portion of it. It's like 2%.
Yeah, there's no water in there.
Yeah, I believe it's something. It's basically an astringent. It's all alcohol.
So Red Eye is an attempt to make Everclear more palatable. And it succeeds far too well to the point where if you are at a traditional North Dakota wedding, there will be many bottles of it, and you might not realize exactly how much alcohol you are consuming until it is coming back out of you.
Right. If you had driven to this party, you ain't driving home tonight.
Oh, hell no.
Not because it's bad to drink and drive, which it is.
But simply, you're not going to be able to get to your car.
You're not going to be able to operate the door handle to get in.
You are going to collapse and pass out before you get out of the building.
Yeah, you tried to fuck your cousin, but luckily you had enough Red Eye to where didn't happen.
Wouldn't have happened.
Wow. Yeah. I'm glad I didn't drive or...
Fuck my cousin.
Make 3-eyed babies.
Jesus Christ. See, like I have I don't have any particularly crazy stories about Red Eye other than when my sister got married. When my sister Hannah got married, they had a party bus outside where the chairs on this bus were movable. They were not bolted to the floor,
which is weird.
So we put them kind of up against the sides of the bus, and then put a couple of folding tables in the middle of this bus. Those folding tables ended up about 75% covered in different bottles of Red Eye.
Wow.
In different flavors, and I made an effort to try most of them. Me and the groomsmen got so fucked up so quickly that we kind of got yelled at a little bit because it was raining and it was there was a gravel parking lot.
Right.
And so the bridesmaids did not want to go outside. They didn't want to get the dresses dirty or anything like that. And so,
but you weren't allowed to bring booze in.
Yeah,
technically.
we weren't allowed to bring booze into the venue.
Yeah,
which is why the bus was outside. And we went outside to drink out there. There was a
Yeah.
bar inside, which was why we weren't allowed to bring booze in, because there was a bar inside that was a cash bar, and they didn't want free stuff.
That was how they were making their money.
Yes. However much money they made while we were out there
drinking in the bus.
Yeah. So I was required to sneak in a bottle of red eye for the bridesmaids and my sister.
Yeah.
Which I gladly did, and got them some free booze. So yeah, that's the funnest story I have. I didn't do anything particularly crazy, because it's me. Even when I'm drunk, I still don't have the confidence to dance.
Sure, yeah.
Either that, or I think I might have the confidence, but I still have an awareness that it won't be any good.
Sure.
So there's that.
I don't know if I have any red eye stories. I probably do.
You don't remember them.
Yeah. They're all... I
that's
remember at one
how it
point
usually happens.
being in an abandoned church north of town. But I don't know if that was a red eye story so much as a night train story. That might have been a night train story.
As in night train pizza?
No.
Okay.
As in night train the wine.
Oh.
You know the Guns N' Roses song? I'm on a night train.
That's about wine?
Oh my God. It says just awful wine. You know.
It's like Wild Irish Rose?
Oh, no. It's nothing that fancy.
This is a $2 bottle of wine.
This is a $2 bottle of wine, and you drink it all. You go, oh, man, that tastes terrible. Man, I got it down. Next thing you know, you're in the bathroom, and they're banging on the door while you're barfing in the toilet. They're saying, you don't come out, we're going to break this down and piss on your head. Which happened to me.
That was too vivid for it not to be a true story.
Yeah,
so.
that was, yeah.
Break this down and piss on your
Which
head.
which I don't understand in retrospect. It was in the middle of nowhere. Dude, just open the back door and let her fly, you know?
Yeah, just walk outside. Who's going to care? Was this abandoned church? This wasn't in Tagus, North Dakota, was it?
It was not in Tagus, no.
I feel like that was a very teenage OJ place to go and get wasted.
I don't know that I ever went to Tagus.
'Cause that's where all the rumors about like satanic shit is. I had a whole discussion with my brother-in-law about this the other night.
In Tagus, North Dakota.
Because we were talking about Mindhunter with the serial killers.
Sure.
And the Son of Sam episode. And I was trying to remember the connection with North Dakota. And there was a chick who was supposedly like a part of the cult in Tagus or some shit.
Right.
And there was, supposedly like a satanic cult in Tagus.
I was unaware of this.
It's just a bit of local folklore, because I was in a folklore class in college and a guy did a presentation on it.
Neat.
It was one of the guys that now runs North Dakota Storm Chasers or something like.
Storm Talkers?
I don't know. I am the Storm Talker. I am a 17th level cleric.
Tonight on Storm Talkers.
Hey, thunderstorm! What's up? Awesome, dude. Give us another one. Whoa, it's like I made it happen, bro.
Storm Talkers at 9, 8 Central, followed by your local news.
See, that's on Animal Planet or like Discovery or something right after Mountain Monsters.
Yeah.
Or whatever fucking stupid show they have about rednecks looking for cryptids.
Yeah. Oh, God.
I love the Djibouti Dubs episodes about those shows.
Djibouti Dubs?
Yeah. He's done episodes where he dubs over like Alaskan bush people and shit like that. And they're fucking hilarious. They're great. There's one where it's like, I once saw him tombstone pile drive Bigfoot. It's great. It's great.
So, listener.
Yeah. Some segments that we do. It's. I feel like the segments get more and more condensed towards the end of the episode as we
push
on.
Oh, we gotta go. Come on,
Yeah,
what's the
we
next
gotta
thing?
go. What's the so? Do you think this slaps?
It's not designed to slap. I don't think.
I think it slaps.
You think it slaps?
Some of it slaps.
All right.
I think
All right.
some of it slaps. The score that I was able to find, there was not a lot of reviews that had numbers attached to them. But out of the 5 I found, 79 is the average I came out with.
All
Pretty
right.
good score. Most of them were 80s.
One of my favorite soft drinks, a High C.
Is that really a soft drink? That's more of a punch.
I can say it is a punch.
It's a fruit punch. Let's see here. My favorite song is Manhattan Project.
Sure.
I also really like Money in the Walls. What is your favorite song?
Like I said, I like the Love Letter to Detroit. I wasn't sure what it was about. I just love the dynamics of it.
Yeah, Love Letter to Detroit is really good. I also like the dynamics of the last song, which is Plague Doctors or just Plague Doctor. I can't remember. I really. It turns into a doom metal song in the last part of it. I was so I had forgotten about that song, and it turns into a doom metal song at the end. I was like, wow, I was not expecting that.
It's just Plague Doctor singular.
Just Plague Doctor, yeah. I like that quite a bit. So what metal are you giving this?
For right now, I'm going to say bronze.
Bronze, okay.
Not bronze. I mean silver.
I was gonna say that.
Silver.
That's gonna be our first bronze.
No, it's definitely a silver.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't mean bronze. I meant I looked down and I saw the word bronze, and I became I'm Ron Burgundy. No,
we are the bronze medalists. Bronze medalists. Okay, that's why we never choose it, because everyone else is better than us, and we're the bronze ones.
You know, there's some albums we could bring some in that
we
stink.
Could definitely bring in some stinkers, but
I don't like
not
talking about it. It's not fun.
We should try it sometime.
Yeah.
At least bring one that we don't like.
And
see if we can find some redeeming qualities in it. But,
not next week.
Yeah, not next week. No. We're getting back into into right. Yeah, next week will be
October.
October. So we're getting back into metal. We're getting back to it. So
and the one I have for you, you went gold on this one.
No, I'm calling it silver.
So silver.
I think I really like what they're doing, and I think if they expand on the sound that they went for with this album and keep adding to it, and like I said, if they were to add in some backing vocals and keep experimenting with some more intense sounds and that sort of thing, and while still keeping some of their more down tempo stuff, and Dan keeps on being Dan with all that other stuff in connection, I think the next album would be a gold if they manage to make the next album better than this one. But for right now, it's a silver.
And I can appreciate when a band does that they expand, they become better.
Yeah.
As they continue. I mean, because there are a lot of bands that do their first album and it's awesome, and then they suck for the next 10 albums.
Yeah. Listener has their whole history is expanding from one dude doing a underground hip hop project to this, which is not underground hip hop at all.
Not even close.
But I'm sure if you were to listen to all of the albums in sequence, you would be able to hear a clear, direct progression.
Right,
to
you'd
this.
see that Tyrannosaur turn into a chicken.
Yeah, and I want to see that chicken turn into whatever crazy future chickens we'll have.
Future chicken.
Future chicken, where it turns back into a T-Rex.
Yeah.
Next on Discovery Channel, After Earth focuses on what happens to the chickens.
It's the chicken regression.
Oh, I said After Earth. That's that shitty Will Smith M. Night Shyamalan movie.
It is.
I meant Life After People.
You
remember that series?
Yeah, oh yeah. When you see the cities when they're
overgrown
and crumbling.
And there was one on Animal Planet, I think, which was like, some catastrophe, humans have to leave the planet. Here's what happens to all of the flora and fauna in the next 2 million years. Here's what Earth will look like in 2 million years with all these crazy creatures.
I want to think as the spaceship takes off with all the people on it. I want to see all the animals come together in one big crowd and just collectively sigh.
Either that or go, fuck you, I'm glad you're gone. The fuck off my planet. So long. Thanks for all the fish.
Hope you enjoy wearing my uncle, asshole.
Okay, so what are you bringing next week?
Next week,
we're back to metal.
Back to metal, though this album is barely metal.
Okay.
But it is definitely in the metal category. It's from in the 1990s. And since it is October, and this album makes me think of it's the name October is in the name of the album.
It's the spookiest month.
It is. Well, the album October Rust.
October Rust by whom?
By Type O Negative.
Okay. Yeah. Type O Negative is one of your favorite bands, isn't it?
I mean, they're up there. I mean, this. You know what's funny is I didn't own this album until I got married. My wife had a copy of this. I'm like, hey, I forgot about this, and then I played it a lot. I'm like, wow, it makes me think of falling leaves and maybe graves and vampires and
all right
and things being over.
Makes you think about the end.
The end, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm excited for it.
The late Peter Steele and.
All right.
Type O Negative.
We'll get into it.
Who I saw in concert.
Oh.
I did. They opened for Cradle of Filth.
Oh, spooky. I think after that, we might as well get to it while the album is still fresh. We'll do the Battle of Yaldabaoth.
Okay.
By Infant Annihilator. We'll check that out. I'm hoping I feel better about it. I still haven't given it a full listen.
I gave it a partial listen while doing dishes, and I realized this is not conducive to doing dishes.
Yeah, you're gonna break something.
Yeah, I almost did. I actually heard someone in the next room going, "You okay in there?"
I'm just scrubbing really fast.
No one can play drums like this. They're not playing the drums. This is not a human being.
Okay. We'll get to that then in a few weeks. In the meantime, if you enjoy our podcast, check us out on Facebook and Twitter. Find our pages there. We will always post new episodes, links to new episodes there. You can click on those. You can find them. Otherwise, if you're on Apple products, I think that still works.
Potentially.
However you get your podcasts on there, you can find us. I don't want to say wherever you get your podcasts because I don't think that's...
Who knows?
I don't know.
You don't actually have control over that. You just...
Yeah, I'm not...
Give it to Libsyn and...
They have certain... I know there's like...
So you're doing.
There's like Stitcher and other stuff, but I don't know how that works. I don't know.
What is Stitcher?
It's some podcast thing. I don't know. Right. I don't know. Do you expect me to know any of these things? I just edit it and put it up and do that. Check us out there. We'll get you your links. We'll get you your links. For
Small Bobtail Cat.
Oh.
Yeah.
I see.
It's links.
Yeah, because it's little. Okay.
All right.
Anyway, thank you for listening to another episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
Congratulations! Sure.
Pumpkin spice. It says spicy release.
Spicy release. That's what I call it.
After taco night, what do you?
After, some hot sauce got on my dick hole or something. Good thing that's a pre-episode joke. Gonna sneak that one in after the outro.
You know, if you know someone named Nicole and you have a cold, you're calling her that all the time. Hey, Nicole.
What's up, Nicole? Okay.
All right.